Thank you for checking out Lakehead International's videos. You're about to watch one of our Lakehead International live webinars, a fun and informative way to learn more about Lakehead while also meeting faculty, staff, and current students. If you have any questions throughout today's video, please comment below. Otherwise, let's get started.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Lakehead International Live. My name is Jordan Ball. I'll be your host today. First and foremost, I want to take this opportunity to say thank you to our audience for joining us. Whether it's your morning, your afternoon, your evening, we certainly appreciate the time you've taken out in your day to learn more about the next steps in the admissions process. And specifically today, we're going to be chatting about completing and tracking your application, as we are excited to see our admissions teams are working through applications at a great pace and looking to share results in the near future. For those of you who have not joined a webinar before, my name is Jordan Ball. I am the International New and Social Media Officer here on the Thunder Bay campus. It's my pleasure to be here and help run today's event. I also help run our social media channels, our digital initiatives and marketing, and I also help manage the Global Ambassador Program. So it's a pleasure to be here once again. And I also want to note and thank our background participants. So Paula is in the background helping answer questions today, as I'm sure they will roll in. So what are we going to cover today? First and foremost, I'll chat a bit about upcoming events, the Lakehead application status, next steps, paying fees, course registration, connecting with current students, and of course, we'll have a Q&A period at the end for you to pose all your questions, although I'm sure you'll have questions throughout the webinar today as well. So first and foremost, as we talk about the admissions process and the next steps in the admission process, this webinar is geared towards people that have already submitted an application to Lakehead University, and more specifically, of course, we've geared it towards our international applicants. So looking at the screen here, you can maybe recognize or you're familiar with some of these statuses as they relate to the admissions process when you submit an application to Lakehead University. So for our undergrad students, you could be familiar with incomplete, which means your application is incomplete and we require more information. You could be looking at pending, which means your application is complete, but we have not yet reached a decision. It could be that you're admitted conditionally, which means that we might need final documents. Your offer letter is conditional based on satisfying whatever conditions are involved in that. You could simply be admitted, and that means that you're admitted with no conditions, or it's an unconditional offer, as we call it. You perhaps could be eligible to register depending on where you are in the stage, which means you could be signing up for courses for this upcoming spring, if that's when you're joining us, perhaps. Or you could be refused, which means we've assessed your application and we at this time do not feel that you have the credentials to join us for that program. However, if you are refused, please don't hesitate to connect with one of our recruitment advisors to discuss your options and see if there's another alternative program you could pursue. For our graduate applicants, statuses are a bit different to an extent. So you could be in the application stage, which is totally fine, and that means that you're filling out that application form and you're working through the processes. You could be in the additional information stage, where that means we need a bit more details and more information is required for the application. It could be in the initial review phase or stage, and that means that it is under the review of our admissions officers within the Faculty of Graduate Studies that are ensuring you meet the minimum requirements for the program you've applied for. If you satisfy those minimum requirements and you're a successful candidate at that point, you would typically go into department review. Department review means your application has been sent to the appropriate academic unit for the admissions committee review. So in some cases, some departments have a single person that helps handle the admissions and applications. In other cases, it's an entire team or a committee of people that review hundreds of applications. So this stage is typically the longest stage within the process. And for many of you on today's webinar, I'm sure you are within initial review or department review and anxious and excited to hear back. We may not have answers quite yet, as the application deadline is still coming up. It is tomorrow, March 1, 2024. With that being said, following March 1, we'll need a few weeks probably before we start seeing offers rolling out of our graduate studies office. You also could be admitted, and that means that you have an offer to Lakehead University. You could be refused by committee decision, which means that it has gone to the department and you were refused by the committee themselves, or it could be refused graduate studies, which means that you did not meet the minimum or the admission requirements from the start. For those of you who are admitted or have a letter of acceptance from Lakehead University, I want to take this opportunity to say congratulations. It has been a journey, I'm sure, for you, and we're excited to welcome more students this upcoming spring. And of course, in the fall, we are looking forward to many new students. And you've taken the next step in your journey to joining us here, and we're very excited to have you. So once again, congratulations on all the efforts that you've put forward. In terms of next steps, this now comes back to all students, whether you've applied, whether you've been admitted, whether you're still in the process of submitting that application. Some of these are going to be important for you to know moving forward. I won't read the next steps because we're going to go through them slide by slide. But once again, please keep your eye on the slide. And of course, at any time, if you need clarification, undergrad versus grad, that's an important part of today's webinar. There is differentiation, and I do my best to label when we're talking about undergraduate specific information or graduate specific information, but please don't hesitate to pose questions appropriately. So first and foremost, watch for your acknowledgement email. Your acknowledgement email will provide you with your Lakehead University ID and your username and password to access your student information portal and your Lakehead University email. If you did not receive your acknowledgement email, check your spam folder or check your bounced folder and add us to your safe sender list. If you still can't find it, please contact us. So I will note for our undergraduate students, if you've completed a direct application through our online portal, which is powered by OUAC, after submitting that online application, it usually takes a few business days before you receive your acknowledgement email, which includes your Lakehead ID and your username and temporary password. If you are a graduate student, your acknowledgement email is sent to you almost immediately after completing the first step of the graduate application form. It provides you with those login credentials to then actually access the graduate application portal so you can proceed through the application process and select your program of study, upload documents, all that sort of stuff. At that point, we do not provide your Lakehead University student ID for grad students. We will share that with you when you receive an offer. So things to keep in mind, or as we talk about that acknowledgement email, I want to remind users that you should keep your student ID and your username and password handy and of course safe and secure. These are always important to have on hand, and you should store them perhaps in your phone or wherever you keep important information. So maybe that's a journal or a notebook that you have all of your passwords written down in. Make sure you write it down similarly so that you can access those accounts, because in some cases you may use it now to create the application and you may not go back on that portal for a few weeks or even a month perhaps, and we want to make sure you'll remember that login credential. For our undergraduate students, if you've completed your application through the UAC-powered application, you also need to keep that separate password and username handy. That will be important to have on hand, of course, if you need to go make changes to your application for an undergraduate program, or if you need to amend your application, as we like to say. So you would have two separate passwords as an undergrad, perhaps. Checking your Lakehead email is another important step in terms of preparing for your journey to Lakehead. Your My Email is the Lakehead University email account, and the password and username that you were provided in that acknowledgement email is how you're going to access this. Lakehead will typically communicate with you regarding your application only through your Lakehead University email account. In select circumstances, we'll share information that's specific to you as an applicant through your personal email, and we'll share general messaging through your personal email. I'm sure that's how many of you were invited to today's webinar through that evite. However, in some instances, we do encourage you to monitor that Lakehead email for the most up-to-date and important information related to your application and perhaps becoming a student. Things that you can also expect to find and regular updates include next steps, scholarships, bursaries, and awards, residence, orientation, and student welcome, and so much more. So once again, checking your Lakehead email is very important. Visiting your student information portal is also quite important. So this is the place where you can perform a variety of functions related to your enrollment, both as an applicant as well as a student at Lakehead. So through your student information portal, the undergraduate students can track the status of their application actually within the portal. They can also view your application history and check the status of your required documents. For all students, for grad and undergrad, you can apply for bursaries, you can register for residence from this portal, and you can do plenty more, especially related to your student accounts and paying fees. You will need access to your student information portal. So it's best that you start to familiarize yourself with it now, and you can understand it a bit better when you become a student. So how might you visit your student portal, and what does it look like? So when you sign in, you can actually see here, this is a quick screenshot from a while back of what it would look like for you. So you can see on the left-hand side, most of you will only have the applicant tab. So the applicant tab is where it is powering next steps for you. It's going to have the applications for bursaries. It's going to have the registration for residence. For our undergraduate students, it's going to have the ability to track your application, check the status of documents. For our grad students, you can do all of those same things through your grad application portal. In this case, you can see in my screenshot, obviously, I was a student at Lakehead. I'm now an employee and I'm also an alumni. So I have a few more tabs than you will, and that's okay. Those tabs and those screens are only meant for me. So there's nothing missing in terms of the environment you'll be able to access. So in terms of tracking the status of your application, you can do that at any time using the appropriate online tools. So to be able to see that admissions decision, you will need to access either the student information portal if you're an undergrad student, or the graduate application portal if you're a grad student. Now, in terms of timelines, this is a really popular question, so I want to make sure I make it crystal clear, and I'm sure we've already received plenty of questions about these timelines. For our undergraduate students, when you submit a complete application, and when I say complete, I mean you've filled out the entire form online, you've then sent all of your documents as a part of your application, and Lakehead has received any of those required documents. From that point on, we typically assess within 4 to 6 weeks, and we have a response for you. We also strive to do it even quicker if possible. However, 4 to 6 weeks is what we are currently working through at this time. That may change, and we will always keep that up to date. And for our graduate students, there's no set date by which offers will be made, as each academic unit, of course, will work through and work within their own time frame, and the admission process is an ongoing process. So I know that may be disappointing to hear because there's no set time frame around when you're going to hear back about your application. And I know many of you have probably applied for your graduate program many, many months ago. Now that the deadline for many of our graduate programs is approaching, and it is tomorrow, March 1, 2024, you should start to hear back from our graduate studies team within the next few weeks or within the next month or so as our admissions teams work through those offers and applications. So stay tuned. I'm excited to see them start to flow through. So checking and tracking that application status, like I said, on the undergrad side, you're going to be looking at your student information portal. So under phase 1 pre-admission, you can click on that button that says check my application status. For our grad students, when you log into the graduate application portal, you will see all of your active applications. You can see, in this case, this Master's of Science in Computer Science, the status is under initial review. And then, for example, you also see this other one where it's a Master's of Education application where it's under department review. As a reminder or a refresher, the under initial review means it's currently being assessed by our Faculty of Graduate Studies admissions officers to ensure you meet the to ensure that you meet the admission requirements. If it's under department review, your application has been passed along to the appropriate academic unit, and now it sits with the admissions committee in that unit. Submitting outstanding documents. So this page is only for undergraduate students. So keep that in mind, folks. This is for undergraduate students only. We will require official transcripts, language proficiency requirements, if applicable. So if you are satisfying our English language proficiency requirements through perhaps an IELTS test, a TOEFL test, a Duolingo test, all of those results need to be sent to us in an official capacity. For those students who are transferring from another college or university, we'll require your course descriptions and perhaps your course outlines to do a transfer credit assessment. And for non-academic requirements, such as the media, film, and communications application or music application, we may require a portfolio or audition. So submitting those outstanding documents, you can actually upload them through your student information portal. And once again, you can see a screenshot and which section that you need to visit to access that information. Graduate applicants, you actually should be uploading all of your supporting documents when you complete your application. So you'll see a list of all the required documents in your portal after you've actually completed the application. So in the screenshot you see on the right-hand side, you can see all of the green tick boxes or check boxes means that that task is submitted or complete. So you have your pre-application questions, your application form, your submission fee. Those are all forms as to do with your application. But when you get to the next few, unofficial transcript, unofficial proof of degree, unofficial English, CV, computer science background form, statement of purpose, those are all documents that have been added to your graduate application. Of course, those documents will be unique for every program application. So here today, I can't tell you or confirm exactly what's needed necessarily for your program. However, once you create your application and you get on that portal, you can then see exactly what's going to be required of you. Submitting official transcripts. So this is now the next stage of your admissions process. You may have uploaded an unofficial or a scanned copy. Maybe you took a photo of your transcript. However, in order for us to provide you an unconditional letter of acceptance, we do require your official transcripts. A transcript is official when it's either been mailed to Lakehead University directly from the institution, delivered or mailed by the applicant to Lakehead University in an envelope sealed by the institution, or sent electronically from the institution to Lakehead University's appropriate admissions team email. So for our undergraduate applicants, if your institution is prepared to send an electronic copy of your transcripts, they should send it to docs.admission@lakeheadu.ca. Similarly, for grad students, if your institution would like to share an electronic copy of your transcripts, they can send it to our graduate team at gstudent@lakeheadu.ca. So the next stage of the admissions process is perhaps to review your letter of acceptance. So we're going to work through a few of those key things to remind you of. If you have not received a letter of acceptance, that's okay. I would encourage you, though, stay tuned and watch today's session and the next few slides carefully so that when you receive that letter of acceptance, hopefully, you'll be prepared with how to review it appropriately. So the accuracy of your personal information is all going to be kept at the top of the page. You can see where it's highlighted in yellow. The things that I would encourage you to do is ensure that your name is spelled correctly. It should match any of your official travel documents, such as your passport, because what will happen is when you arrive in Canada or when you apply for your Canadian study permit, they're going to be looking at your letter of acceptance and the travel document or passport that you've shared as a part of that process, and they want to make sure that they match or they are identical. If there are any instances where those are wrong, please reach out to the appropriate admissions team who will be listed on your offer letter as well. Is your date of birth correct? That's another important one. Of course, you would have provided us your date of birth during the application process, and perhaps maybe it was entered incorrectly or it was populated incorrectly. At that point, we want to make sure, once again, any of those corrections are made beforehand. And last but not least, is your address correct? Again, this is going to be an important piece to make sure that any of the credentials you use, like letter of acceptance when applying for your Canadian study permit, are accurate and the most up-to-date. So make sure that if any of these personal information points are incorrect or outdated, have our admissions team bring it to their attention and they'll address it as soon as they can. The next portion that you want to review is your program information. So things you can look for, is the program listed the one you actually applied for? This seems like a common one. Students want to make sure that did they select the proper program, or when they are reviewing the letter of acceptance, is it for the program they applied for? For our undergraduate students especially, in some cases, we will provide you with alternative offers. So if we refuse your application for one program, we may provide you with an alternative offer. And so that's why we remind you, check to see is the program listed the one you applied for. In most cases, it will be, but just to be sure, we want to make sure that you are comfortable with what we've listed there. Is the start term for the program correct? Does it say perhaps this spring or this fall? And for our future students, will it say the appropriate term for you? Is the campus location correct? Again, this is an important one, especially for our programs that are offered on both of our campuses. If you applied to both, just to make sure that you had the ability to get in, but perhaps now you've changed your mind and you know which campus you would like to go to, make sure the correct campus is located on here. Again, this will play a role in terms of when you submit your Canadian study permit application. Take note of the estimated tuition fees here. For details on verifying the exact tuition fees and amounts, you can always visit our tuition and fees page, and there actually will be a link within your letter of acceptance that sends you right to that page. But you can always get a better idea of the estimated tuition fees on our letter of acceptance. Admission conditions and other important information. This is where we want you to really bunker down and read and understand any conditions listed in this section. Be sure that you have a clear plan to meet those conditions by the deadline also included in this section of your letter. If you do not understand any of the conditions, whether it's a small misunderstanding or the whole letter is confusing to you, please contact our admissions team or connect directly with one of our recruitment advisors, and we're happy to guide you further on this. We also want you to take note of the expiry date. We will hold your offer or your spot at Lakehead until this date. Take note of the length of your program and take note of the link to important information for your visa officer. So we've done our best and we know how this works in the process. So you will have ample opportunity to access the information you need as a part of your next steps in the process. And last but not least, the next steps and the response deadline. Here you'll find the instructions on how to accept your letter of acceptance and the deadline to do this by. Take note of the confirmation deposit amount, how to pay it, and the deadline to pay. So again, these are very important for you to understand. And if anything in this entire letter is confusing whatsoever, even if it's a really small detail that has you scratching your head, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We want to guide you in this process and make sure you are fully prepared to move forward. So, how do you accept your offer of admission? For our undergraduate students, you can either log into your online application. You can click choices or offers to view your offer of admission. You can click offer or alternate offer. You can click accept to accept that offer. And then when you're all done, you are going to click I'm ready to submit my response and changes. Follow the instructions on the review and submit process page. And then when you've successfully completed the submission process, you'll receive a confirmation number by email, along with a summary of your responses to the offers of admission and/or changes to your application information. We encourage you to keep this email for your records. Again, this is for undergraduate students only. All this information is accessible on our website as well. And for our graduate students accepting your offer of admission, when you log into the online application system, you'll be able to see that an action is required. So in the case of the screenshots here, you can see a Master's of Science in Computer Sciences. Action is required in the screenshot by March 3rd, 2022. Of course, this is an outdated screenshot now, but it's still appropriate in terms of what you can anticipate for this current academic year. And you can see your status is admitted. Check your Lakehead, and then I believe it says email. When you're ready, you actually get to then click view of that, or you can click on start. And then you actually can click on the green accept button to accept that offer. And then once you actually see that, it says, please check your Lakehead email for your letter of acceptance. and a decision is required by a deadline once again, so you really should be checking your status of your application on a regular basis. Paying your confirmation deposit. So for our undergraduate students, you have a $500 confirmation deposit currently, and it's quite simple that you pay that through your student information portal. We'll accept online banking, we'll accept major credit cards, and the process is fairly straightforward. This will help hold your seat here at Lakehead University. For our graduate students, your confirmation deposit is $1,000. So you can see two screenshots here. On the left-hand side, you see payment options coming soon. On the right-hand side, you see click here to pay. Whichever one of these two that you see, of course, you can proceed appropriately. You will be able to pay when it says click here to pay. Now, click here to pay is going to be something you see after you've accepted that offer and we've processed that acceptance. So if the payment option coming soon, please wait. That may be an indication to you that you have not properly accepted your offer. If it displays that and you have accepted your offer, please don't hesitate to reach out to our graduate studies team and they'll be happy to guide you in the process. Now you may be asking, how can I pay my fees? So aside from the confirmation deposit, which is typically done through our online portals and ideally used by a major credit card, that is the most simple method. However, there are other options to pay your fees. And of course, when it comes time to pay your academic related fees or your tuition expenses, there's a number of options that we'll accept. The most popular by far is Pay My Tuition, which is an online portal that Lakehead University has partnered with to accept payments from around the world. We also have electronic transfer, which is Convera, formerly Western Union, or Global Pay for those of you who have been familiar with banking internationally. We also have a credit card option where we work with TouchNet PayPath. We have online banking. So perhaps if you have a family member or a family friend who has a Canadian bank, and the funds are already in that bank for your studies, they can make an online banking transfer to Lakehead University. We also accept money orders and bank drafts. Of course, you can pay your fees through your scholarships, bursaries, awards, and graduate awards. Those details will be more clear to you if you've already received that. And if you have questions, you can always connect with the appropriate funding team, whether that's our student awards and financial aid for undergrad students or our graduate funding officers for master's and PhD students. On the note of master's and PhD students, we also have our graduate assistantship, which is our GA opportunity. You can also use that payment to subsidize your fees. And last but not least, there is the sponsorship option, which is where your government, your employer, or a third-party agency is paying on your behalf. This is not something that Lakehead University organizes. This is something that within your own home country and perhaps a private organization that you are affiliated with, they would be sponsoring that. So we do not facilitate sponsorships in the sense that provide them. However, you may have heard of them in the past from organizations within your home country, and in that case, sponsorship is applicable for payment. So the most popular methods, like I said, are going to be the first three: Pay My Tuition, Convera, or TouchNet PayPath. The most convenient in our eyes, of course, is electronic transfers through Convera. It allows you to pay in your local currency. It's cost effective and timely, and it's reliable and authorized by Lakehead University. All of our options are reliable and authorized by Lakehead University. But this option, Convera, is the one that we work with in terms of electronic transfers in this scenario. And with TouchNet PayPath, we do accept Visa or MasterCard. So if you're looking to use those, you're more than welcome to. However, you will be required to pay the transaction fee or percentage. And as we come to sort of the next steps, again, I'm sure many of you are wondering, course registration. Jordan, I'm so excited to join Lakehead, but I want to start getting my classes all sorted out. Before you register for your courses, it's important that you actually consult and review the academic calendar. The calendar contains information like university regulations, faculty regulations, department regulations, all sorts of regulations. But we also have program requirements and course descriptions. For undergraduate students, once again, consult the academic calendar. Use the plan and prepare tool within your student information portal. You can also build your pre-registration, which is available in early June for all fall entry students. And then once your course registration actually opens, you can use the submission tool or the pre-registration builder, and you can actually proceed to registration. Typically, first-year undergrad students are eligible to register in early July. For our graduate students, of course, plan and prepare for what courses you may be interested in taking at Lakehead University. Once that course timetable is released and our academic calendar for the upcoming year is released, you can then plan appropriately. However, we also encourage you to wait to hear from your graduate coordinator or connect with them directly for further instructions. Typically, this email or this communication is all done through your My Email portal. So that's your Lakehead U email. And last but not least, this is where I'm excited to remind our viewers that you have an opportunity to connect with current Lakehead students. So you can get that inside story from the student's perspective and chat with current students at Lakehead about academics, university life, athletics and recreation, celebrating culture, clubs, hometowns, and more. All you have to do is scan the QR code on the screen here. I'll leave it up there for a moment or so that you can take that opportunity and scan it. I want to remind viewers, though, this is not meant to be your opportunity to ask questions related to admissions or ask for students to help process your offer quicker, process your application further. These are current students that are pursuing programs like computer science and social justice, engineering, business, nursing, and beyond. They are current students who are passionate about Lakehead and want to help you learn more about perhaps your concerns, or they want to help guide you in the process. However, they will not influence our admissions process. So I just want to remind viewers that although you're eager to hear back from our admissions team, if you have admissions related questions, you should save that for our staff members within the portal. So we have our Welcome Ambassador staff member, or you can always connect directly with our admissions teams or one of our international recruitment advisors. So I hope that gives you an opportunity to scan that. I'll remind viewers one more time, take this opportunity to scan it and connect with a current student before I move on to our live question and answer period. Alrighty, folks, it is that time of the webinar where I have the pleasure to answer as many questions as I possibly can live. I know Paula has been working very diligently behind the scenes to answer many questions by typing them. I'm going to jump in here, though, and actually respond to them live if I can. This says, we are able to log in, but then it says there are login from different accounts and errors reflect. I've applied for undergraduate civil engineering. So Konica, if you've already applied and submitted your application and now you're trying to log in, I'm assuming you're trying to log into your student portal perhaps, and you're receiving error messages, please connect directly with our help desk. You can email them at helpdesk@lakeheadu.ca. Or alternatively, you can connect with us at welcome@lakeheadu.ca and we'll help guide you in the process. If you're having difficulties logging in and accessing your undergraduate application portal, which is powered by OUAC, there should be an email listed on that page for you to connect directly with the OUAC team who supports that login process. This says, hello, my application for graduate studies has been under review, initial review for 4 weeks. Should I be worried? No, honestly, the volume of applications that we've had this year has been quite large. And our graduate studies team is working through those applications as quickly as possible. With that being said, if your application is still in initial review after 4 weeks, you're more than welcome to check out the graduate application portal to see if there's any new updates related to that. Make sure that all of your most recent academic documents have been shared with us. All of your most recent transcripts have been shared with us. And from there on out, our admissions team will, of course, assess you appropriately. This one says, I've applied for graduate Masters of Science Kinesiology on February 10th. It's under initial review. When will I know the results of the acceptance? So that's a great question. I'm gonna probably repeat myself countless times on today's webinar. The graduate application deadline for a vast majority of our programs is actually tomorrow, March 1, 2024. So with that being said, some of these programs are not assessing applications until beyond that deadline, after they've closed the application. So you may not hear back from those academic units for another several weeks, perhaps, or even a month. So maybe towards the end of March or beginning of April, you can start to anticipate hearing back. I know that you've just recently applied as of February 10th, and you're eager to hear back. But some students, of course, have applied as early as October when we first opened the application, and they're also waiting to hear back. So please have patience with us as we work through the countless applications and we assess your credentials and make sure that you're going to be a great fit for Lakehead University. How long does it take to hear back from the MBA program? International student visas take a bit longer. Yes, we know that international student visas take quite a bit of time to process. However, provided that you are joining us in September 2024, if you don't hear back from Lakehead with an offer or a letter of acceptance in March, but perhaps you hear back from us in April, you still have plenty of time. Processing is not at 4 months at this point. Right now, it's only at 10 weeks for our graduate students. Maybe even 9 weeks if I remember correctly, checking that website the other day. 9 weeks is definitely not going to bring you through until September, so you'll have plenty of time. I know you're eager to hear back from us, but rest assured we'll get through to those as soon as possible. Okay, going through a few more questions. After waiting so long, I'm guaranteed at getting an offer because I think it will be unfair if I don't get an offer waiting so long. I appreciate the sentiment, of course, but the length of time that you wait to hear back from Lakehead does not guarantee an offer or does not to sway our opinion whether or not you are going to be a right fit for our applicant pool. So unfortunately, I can't say yes to that. But hopefully, if you have a strong application and you're a good candidate, you'll hear back from us soon enough and you'll have an offer in hand, hopefully. This says I have a master's degree, same as what I applied for, and a bachelor's degree, different with the program I applied. Which transcripts are under consideration? Gobin, I would encourage you to include both of your undergraduate bachelor's as well as your master's degree for our admissions teams to review. It can't hurt to provide all of your academic transcripts in this sense. It won't delay your application any further if they don't require your bachelor's degree transcripts, that's okay. However, if they do require it and it's an extra layer of emailing you to ask for it, coming back to you, sharing it, taking a few weeks, it'll add to the process. So if you have access to the unofficial transcripts right now, I would encourage you to include them. And if they're not needed, our admissions team will just simply not review them. This question says, what do I do? Oh, it's a two-part question, actually. Sorry. I can't find the second part of that question. I apologize. I'll keep my eye on it to see if the second part comes to me. But for now, I'll go to the next one. This says, I applied to a graduate program and I uploaded official transcript. Can I wait till the admission committee concludes on their report before sending an official transcript, or can I go ahead and send it now? So as a graduate applicant, you can wait until you hear from the admissions committee before you share that official transcript. I will note that official transcript is what is the document that we need to share unofficial or unconditional letter of acceptances. So with that being said, if you have access to that official transcript, you can send it to our admissions team now and they'll keep it on file. And provided that you receive a letter of acceptance from Lakehead University, they will then use that document to assess and ensure that all of your conditions are removed when they're ready to issue that offer. So I'll leave it to you to determine your next steps. Either way, you can either choose to send it now if it's official, or you can choose to wait till you hear back. Hello, is the Lakehead University offer medical major? So we do have health sciences programs for graduate students. We also have undergraduate programs that are in our health and behavioral sciences faculty. They're related to a wide range of health and medical backgrounds. We ourselves do not have a school or a medicine faculty that has students that are actually moving right into becoming family doctors or MDs. With that being said, we do have strong ties and connections to NOSM University, which is the Northern Ontario School of Medicine University. We also have a partnership with the Trinity School of Medicine, which is a medical school in in the Caribbean, and we actually have guaranteed seats for some of our students. So you can always consider that as a pathway. You can learn more about Trinity School of Medicine on our website. Can I choose to pay my full year tuition instead of the stated deposit fee amount? Yes, you're more than welcome to do that. I know that a lot of students will choose to pay their full year tuition fee as a part of their visa application so that they can prove that they do have the available funds for their first year studies. And so one of the ways to do that is certainly paying Lakehead University the full amount. However, I want to remind viewers the confirmation deposit is the minimum amount that we require. We do not require that full year of tuition as a part of a visa application. It's only for students that wish to do that. If that's their chosen path forward in terms of proving their financial ability, they can do that. It is not a requirement though. Is it mandatory to be approved by a supervisor before submitting your application? Also, what is the chance of getting admitted if I didn't have approved supervisor in the application decision stage? So in most cases, we do strongly encourage all of our applicants at the graduate level to have a supervisor already selected when applying, if that's applicable. So if you're joining a thesis-based program, you should have your supervisor ideally selected already or know who you are going to work with. There's other routes too, research, portfolio-based, where you may be required to pick a supervisor. Course-based, you will not need a supervisor unless other clearly defined. With that being said, if you cannot find a supervisor, you technically can submit an application, and then what will happen is our admissions committee will review your application. If you're a strong applicant, they will happily then go to the admissions committee and the remaining faculty to see whether or not anyone is looking to take you on as a research student or a thesis student. At that point, if they do find someone who's has the ability to take you on, they'll of course then process your admissions and hopefully provide you with that offer. I don't have any statistics on the chances, or I wouldn't be able to give you a better idea of what are the chances of getting admitted if you don't have that supervisor. I would still encourage you to do your best to find one before applying. However, given that the deadline is tomorrow, if you have not yet found one and you would like to submit that application, you most likely could do that now. Okay, what is the deadline for English language proficiency? So it sounds like maybe you may have an offer to Lakehead University, Mustafa. If you don't, that's okay. But in general, the deadline for English language proficiency is before the start of your program. So if you're joining us in September, we'll accept meeting that English proficiency perhaps until the end of August. However, there will be deadlines clearly stated in your letter of acceptance. Those deadlines in some cases are firm and we cannot change them. In the English proficiency realm, you may have the ability to have that deadline updated. So for example, if you need English language proficiency and you want to enroll in Lakehead's academic English program, which is run by our English Language Center here on the Thunder Bay campus, that program may not wrap up until the beginning of August. And at that point, you should communicate directly with your appropriate admissions team to ensure that any deadlines stated in your offer are going to accept that outcome or that date of the English language proficiency. How can I check the fee for Masters of Force Management? That's a great question. I'll actually put this in the chat for everyone. If you simply visit www.lakeheadu.ca/tuition, that will bring you right to the page where you can view all fees associated with our academic programs here at Lakehead University. When are we expected to receive admission offer for Masters of Computer Science or in Computer Science? So this is one of those things where I'll probably be repeating myself many more times. If you've applied to a graduate program or a master's program, a vast majority of our applications will be closing tomorrow, March 1, 2024. After that, they will need a few weeks to assess all applicants, which in many cases is hundreds of applicants. And then with that being said, they should be releasing offers in the coming weeks. So I would anticipate hearing back towards the end of March or beginning of April for most of our graduate programs if you have not yet heard already. How long does it take to receive a letter of acceptance? So for our undergrad students, after a complete application, you can anticipate a response within 4 to 6 weeks. For grad students, it depends on a wide range of factors, and we do not have set deadlines or timeframes as to when you can anticipate hearing back. I submitted an application, but it shows decision pending. Please guide. Yep, decision pending. It sounds like maybe perhaps you're an undergraduate applicant. That means your application is complete, but our admissions team has yet to receive or reach a decision on your application. So Arslan, please be patient with them as they review as many applications as they can. And of course, they review your documents to ensure you're going to be a good fit for Lakehead University. I got an email, and in the mail there was self-grades form. So does it mean I got accepted? No, Mustafa, I'm not familiar with the self-grades form. I would encourage you, if you need assistance with that self-grades form or the email in question, please respond directly to the sender here at Lakehead University to confirm what your next steps are. Then my name is Julius, and I'm pursuing a Master's of Science in Computer Science at Lakehead, and I've submitted all my applications. So what will be the next steps? Provided that you've submitted all of your applications and it is successfully submitted, you've made your payment before the deadline, which is tomorrow. Your next steps are simply to have patience with our graduate admissions team and your Department of Computer Science to wait to hear back from them. Of course, you can still be an engaged applicant, and you can join my webinars. You can continue to learn about Lakehead University and the offerings that we have here in Thunder Bay as well as Aurelia. With that being said, in terms of the admissions process, I would remind all viewers, if you're in the stage of waiting to hear back, you've applied, you submitted all documents, you've paid your fees, all that sort of stuff, and you're simply waiting to hear back from our admissions team, I would encourage you, the best thing you can do as an applicant is simply monitor your application status and monitor your Lakehead email on a regular basis. That should be checking it at least once a day, just to see if there's any updates, but also if there's any information or additional requirements we have on our end, that's where we're going to send you those updates. So please monitor both of those on a daily basis, I would encourage you, and then we'll go from there. How many times can you defer for a semester? So this is unique for every program. Some programs will allow multiple deferrals, and other times you'll get one. For our undergrad students, you can defer your offer to a program. For graduate students, you're deferring your application. I would encourage for students that are grad, especially if you're deferring your application and you've been admitted multiple times now, you should really action that sooner than later. As the candidate pool and the applicant pool gets more competitive, we wouldn't want you to see you lose out on an offer simply because you've deferred that application yet again. Should I share my mark sheets for my undergrad or 10th, 11th, and 12th? No, two for masters. Yes, for undergrad, absolutely. We will require your mark sheet and your official transcripts from your undergrad. We do not require your 10th, 11th, or 12th if you're applying to a master's program. But of course, keep an eye on your email if we do require that, or if there's additional details that we need or have from you, we'll reach out to you directly. My application status is under department review. When should I expect my admission? Like I said, tomorrow, March 1, 2024 is the deadline for many of our graduate programs. After that deadline has passed, our academic units will be assessing applications as quickly as possible. So I would anticipate and encourage you to keep an eye on your application status in your Lakehead email over the next few weeks, as we anticipate offers will start flowing throughout March and of course into April. Was wondering, so if I'm accepted, must I send official transcripts? Can't I bring it along when coming? No. So, I mean, you can bring it along when you're coming. However, you will not receive an unconditional offer letter until you share those on official transcripts. If you only have one copy of that transcript, you can always connect directly with our graduate studies team and ensure that they are aware of that. However, that may mean, though, that they still have to mark up that transcript, or they may have to stamp that transcript that it's been reviewed on our end. So consider working with your institution to get an additional copy of that, or perhaps have them share an electronic copy directly with our graduate studies team. Please advise, is there any developments on the PAL letter? So PAL letter means the provincial attestation letter, and it's applicable only to undergraduate applicants pursuing a bachelor's degree. It's a part of the study permit and Canadian visa immigration process. PAL letter developments here within Ontario are ongoing. We've had some exciting announcements from the Ontario government over the past few days that more details are coming. And I know for my sake, behind the scenes, we are working very diligently with our counterparts at other institutions to advocate on behalf of international students to make sure this process as clear as possible and then that we can facilitate it appropriately. As soon as we have more information about how you can receive a PAL from Lakehead University or from the Ontario government, we'll share those details widely with our undergraduate applicants, which it affects. For our graduate students, those who are pursuing a master's or a doctorate program, the PAL letter or provincial attestation letter does not apply to you. You are more than welcome to proceed to your study permit application, provided you have a letter of acceptance from Lakehead University. Is double master degrees accepted? I've already done my master's in India. Yes, of course, you're more than welcome to complete more than one master's, even if you have one from back home in your home country, or perhaps there's an applicant on today's webinar or watching the recording that has a master's from Canada. You can complete a second one with no problem. My application is currently under department review. Could I apply to change the project-based program to course-based program? What should I do? That's a great question. I would encourage you to reach out to our graduate studies team directly, and I'll share their email with you by typing this answer as well. It's gstudent@lakeheadu.ca, and let them know that you are interested in switching from project-based to course-based. Is WES evaluation accepted? Yes, it is accepted. It's not always required though. So I would encourage you, if you're familiar and you know all Canadian schools require a WES assessment for you as an applicant based on your previous studies, you can simply provide it right from the beginning of your application. However, if you're assuming it may be a part of it, but you don't know quite yet, we understand that WES assessments are expensive. And so you can wait until our admissions team reviews your documents and your application and determines whether or not that's a requirement. If it is a requirement, they'll communicate directly to you and encourage you to perform that WES assessment. If it's not a requirement, you will not hear from us, and that's good news, of course. Is it possible to apply for a PhD program and later switch to do a master's? I mean, to apply to a PhD program or a doctoral program, of course, you need a master's and you need to be passionate about your area of study and the research you're conducting. If you're in that program and for whatever reason you need to switch to a master's, I would encourage you at that point then to work directly with our graduate studies office or faculty of graduate studies, as well as, of course, your department or your supervisor, to make sure that anything in terms of the processes necessary are completed appropriately. Okay, this one is how many days can we know we get an offer a master's of computer science? So I don't have a maximum number of days that we have in terms of a timeline of when you're going to hear back from computer science, or for any graduate program for that matter. I recognize and I know that you're all anxious and excited to hear back about your application at Lakehead. Unfortunately, I don't have specific timelines or deadlines. If that information is released by the academic unit, so if computer science comes to us and says, we're going to have all offers out by a specific date, we'll communicate that date as widely as we can to our current applicants. However, they have not done that in practice in the past. We simply encourage our applicants to monitor the application status on a regular basis to make sure that as soon as they know more or as soon as there is a status change or an admission decision, you'll be the first person to see that, of course. This one says, I've applied for MBA a little too late or a little late. I don't know if there's still a chance to apply for the pre-course. Is there room for the pre-class? You know what, you should connect directly with us here at welcome@lakeheadu.ca. That's our main department email, and we'll be happy to connect you with the appropriate contact for that question about your pre-MBA programming. What is the initial payment for fall 2024 Masters of Education for Change and Social Justice? So Lola, and for that matter, for all of our students that are looking for an idea of what the first payment is going to be for fall 2024, what you can do is you can visit lakeheadu.ca /tuition, and I'll put that by answering this question, but it's also in the chat for those of you who have already seen that. So lakeheadu.ca /tuition is going to give you access directly to our academic fees structure. And with that being said, you can use the current academic fees as an estimation of what next year's fees are going to be. I will note fees are released typically every May for the upcoming academic year. You should anticipate a nominal increase, typically 2, 3, 4% increase on our program fees. So whatever it is this year, you should tack on an additional few percent as an estimation to give you a better idea of what to expect you'll pay. When can someone apply for a GA scholarship? Is this during the application or after you get acceptance letter? So typically we say that when you're applying for your program, if you have the opportunity to provide a statement of purpose or a letter of intent, an SOP, whatever it might be, at that point you can certainly include in that you are looking for funding or additional funding opportunities such as graduate assistantships. However, I will remind viewers, a vast majority of our applicants do not receive funding from Lakehead University's graduate studies team. And so with that being said, you may be looking at communicating directly with your faculty or your graduate coordinator or supervisor to see if there are funding outside of those opportunities. Just be mindful of the time. I know it's just past 10 o'clock here. Some of us do have to drop off the call, and that's totally okay. I'll continue working through as many questions as possible, as I do have some commitments coming up shortly here, so I will have to wrap things up eventually. This question says, I've applied for a master's program based on a low tuition fee, but later after I applied, I found that out that the tuition fee is actually higher than I thought. What should I do? Are there financial assistance for me in this situation? So great question, Daniel. In this case, if you are looking to gain financial assistance or graduate funding, you can certainly connect right with our graduate funding officers. Like I was just saying, though, funding opportunities are limited in terms of availability. We're typically looking for graduate students who are able to fund fully their own education. And so what I would encourage you to do is maybe reconsider if right now is the right time to join a program here at Lakehead University. And with that being said, if it's not now and you need a bit more time to save up for your education here in Canada, that's okay. Please consider us in the future for another application. If you do receive an offer, you could consider deferring that offer, but you will need to put some money down to defer that offer. So it's all going to be something that you should work through and decide. If you have questions, if you would like our advice or support in terms of next steps, we're more than happy to help you through that. So please don't hesitate to connect with us. However, in terms of that financial assistance, we cannot guarantee anything. So we encourage you to review your own financials to determine how to proceed. Okay, so I'm just reviewing some more questions here. This one says, Sarah, thank you for your clear explanation and useful guidance. How can I access the recorded webinar? Great question, Sarah. I'm glad you asked that. We will edit this video. I will edit this video as soon as possible, and it will be published on our YouTube channel. Our YouTube is at Lakehead International. You may go on YouTube and search in Lakehead University. You're going to find our main channel, which has some of our videos. However, all of our webinars are published on the Lakehead International channel. We curate the international channel for international applicants and viewers so that you have a unique experience to understand how we support our students here on campus and how we've tailored the international student experience to guide you through your years with us. Habiba, it says, how do you accept Wes ICAP report, or do I need to send official transcripts from university only? So with that being said, I would encourage you to work directly with your previous institution or your previous university to share those official transcripts directly with our admissions team. However, if you know that a WES is typically required as a part of your application, if you have experience with other Canadian institutions that do require a WES, you can certainly share that. With that being said, it may not hurt to reach out directly to our graduate studies team and ask the same question. However, they may not be able to answer until you've actually submitted that application originally. About how many years does the medical major will be in the University of Lakehead? So that's a great question. However, I can't answer that directly because, like I said earlier, Farzana, we do not offer a medical major here at Lakehead University. We don't have a school of medicine. However, we do have several different degrees that are in the medical or healthcare field. So what I would encourage you to do is go on our website, lakeheadu.ca/programs. You can learn more about all the programs Lakehead University offers and what you may then wish to pursue. Based on that, you can follow up with us and we can happily share more details about the length of that program. And then, of course, if you are still interested in perhaps going into medical school where you're going to gain an MD, at that point, you will have additional schooling applicable. What is the email address to send official transcripts to graduate admissions? So their official email is gstudent@lakeheadu.ca. I'm putting that, replying to this student directly on the Q&A, but I'll also put that in the chat for everyone to see. gstudent@lakeheadu.ca is the main email. If I have a West letter, do I still need to provide official transcripts sent by the university? I would encourage you to work directly with your previous institution to share that official transcript. And then if we require a WES assessment, we'll communicate that directly to the student. If I got admission in another university, will you accept application fees refund? No, we will not. We will only refund confirmation deposits for students who have been denied their student visa. That's the only refund that we offer in the application or the admissions phase. If you've applied to Lakehead University, of course, our teams in international enrollment, in the Faculty of Graduate Studies and international admissions, perhaps even your academic unit. We've all taken plenty of time and hard work to review your application and to consider you to join us here at Lakehead University. And so given the fact that you may be admitted to another institution, we're not going to refund you based on that, unfortunately. So that is the cost of submitting an application for review with us at Lakehead. After tuition deposit payment, how long does it take to get the receipt of payment? I guess the receipt will be needed for a visa application. No, not necessarily. Like I said before, and you may not have heard this, and that's okay. Paying your tuition fees is not a required aspect of applying for your student visa unless you're using the student direct stream. The student direct stream does require payment of first year fees. However, proof of financial support as a part of the regular visa or study permit application, that could be access to your bank account in your current home country. That could be investments in your current home country. That could be a bank account here in Canada. If you choose to prove that through paying Lakehead first, you can work directly with our financial services and our accounts receivable team. We have a dedicated international accounts officer, Chris. He will help you issue that receipt, okay? Does Lakehead admit conditionally pending the taking of additional or qualifying courses for admission to master's program? Typically, no. From my experience, that will not happen unless we offer you to complete those qualifying or additional courses here at Lakehead. So, for example, our economics program, some of our students and some of our applicants are required to do a qualifying year and complete undergraduate level courses before they join their Masters of Arts. So with that being said, you can always connect directly with our graduate studies team to confirm the same or work with our international recruitment advisors around the world to understand this process a bit better. Alrighty, folks, just be mindful of the time. It's already 10 after, so I'll only have time to answer a few more questions. I do want to let you know, though, if we didn't have time to answer your question, or perhaps you have more questions for us after I end this webinar, please don't hesitate to send us an email over at welcome@lakeheadu.ca. That is the main email here for us within international enrollment, and we'll help guide you through the process. We want to make sure you are prepared to move forward quickly. Okay, so back to the questions here. I've applied for electrical and computer engineering master's course base. Do the admissions get closed after the seats are filled, or will I get admission if I'm qualified? Also, please share any mail ID for this department for asking queries. So yes, the applications and admissions will close after seats are filled if they choose to keep their application open. If I'm not mistaken, though, electrical and computer engineering, and I can actually verify this by going on our website quickly. They will be closing their application tomorrow. So I hope that you have already submitted your application and you're prepared to complete it today. Um, I will verify that though for you right now. So electrical and computer, pardon me, electrical and computer. It is closing on March 1. So it will close tomorrow. After that, they will no longer accept applications. It does not guarantee you admission in the program if you've submitted before the deadline. It guarantees you consideration for the program. So after paying the $1,000 as acceptance fee, also known as our confirmation deposit, will I need to pay another deposit before anything like a deposit before I get an I-20 or the acceptance letter, an I-20? So as of right now, Lakehead does not currently have an additional confirmation deposit fee. If things change, we'll communicate widely with our applicants to share more details. I'm not familiar with what an I-20 is in this case. I do apologize for that. But if you do have more specific questions for us, or if you can explain that a bit further, you can always send us an email over at welcome@lakeheadu.ca. How do I pay my initial fee deposit if I'm using Empower Loan? So I'm not familiar with how Empower Loan works in all the intricacies. They may pay Lakehead University directly instead of depositing that money in your account. At that point, I would encourage you to perhaps consider paying the initial confirmation deposit through your own means and not necessarily through the loan company. However, if that is the only option for you, reach out directly to Empower Loan and explain your situation. And with that being said, from there on out, you should be able to at least work with them to perhaps issue that confirmation deposit amount, which is 500 for undergrads and 1,000 for grads. Concerning the GA, some of us didn't know that we should add it if we need external funding in our SOP before submitting. So how do we go about that? I would encourage you to connect directly with your graduate coordinator or your supervisor and explain your need for funding and provide more details about how you're willing to do sort of tasks, research, additional work to satisfy that graduate assistantship. However, like I said, a vast majority of our students do not receive graduate assistantship. So even if you had included it in your SOP, or if you do reach out to your graduate coordinator or your supervisor, there's no guarantee that you're going to receive additional funding. Does the tuition fee include housing? No. So the housing is additional if you're choosing to live on campus or off campus. Either way, it is in addition to the academic expenses here at Lakehead. We always encourage first year students to join us on campus so they can settle into their new hometown and familiarize themselves with their new community while having additional resources and supports. You won't have to worry about off-campus housing and trying to figure that out until you've already realized and understand how housing in Canada works. What if our institution is unable to send the results? Amir, if that's the case, that your institution is not able to send the results to you electronically or to us electronically, you should be getting a physical or a hard copy. All institutions are required to share their results with their previous students. And so that should be something that you work directly with them to ensure that we can appropriately assess your application. When will the offer letter be issued for computer science and master's degree? So this is the last question I'll accept today. Unfortunately, I don't have much time left as I have to head to another commitment. To answer this question and to answer all of our grad students that I'm sure are wondering, when will I hear back about my graduate studies application? We know that you're excited. We know you're eager to hear back. However, the application deadline closes tomorrow, March 1, 2024. After that deadline passes, the admissions committees within each academic unit, so the Department of Computer Science, they're going to sit down and review all applications in their committee. At that point, they'll typically take a few weeks to start assessing those applications and actually making decisions on those applications. From there on out, they will start to send out offers as soon as they can. And we'll encourage them, and we always do our best to push our academic units to process offers sooner than later. So hopefully we'll start to see offers flow in the middle to end of March or perhaps the beginning of April. I would encourage you, check your Lakehead email, check your graduate application portal on a regular basis for more details and for updates about your application. Before I let you go, folks, I want to remind you, follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, all under the handle at Lakehead International. If you want to check out our campuses, which are quite gorgeous, if I do say so myself, you can head over to lakeheadu.ca/tours. And if you would like to explore our upcoming events, all you have to do is scan the QR code on your screen here today and explore some of those really exciting events, including in-depth program sessions with engineering next week, upcoming with business, economics, and computer science, and many more throughout April. So hopefully we'll see you there. I do apologize. I know that we have many Q&As still open, but I do have to head to another commitment. So if you do not have an answer to your question, please don't hesitate to send us an email over at welcome@lakeheadu.ca. I'll put it in the chat one more time so that you can save it for later. So welcome@lakeheadu.ca is our main email. You can find us over there. Thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure to host all of you, and hopefully we'll see you on campus very soon. Bye for now.
I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, I want to encourage you to comment below or connect with us on social media. We can be found at Lakehead International on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Thanks for watching once again, and hopefully we'll see you at the next live webinar. Bye for now.